Tip number 1, write some good songs and get really good at playing them. We've not talked about that today. We're taking it as read. Have you got really good songs? Because everything we've talked about today well, I always say, if you want to be a success in the music business, you either need £1 million or some really good songs. And I suspect that some really good songs, they're not easy, but they're probably easier than finding £1 million. So, write some good songs and get good at playing them. Number 2, get a good name. Okay, if you're a singer-songwriter and you perform under your own name, well, that's easy, isn't it? It's all up to your parents, it's their problem. But if you're a band, get a good name. Think about things. How does it Google? Okay, does it Google well? Because that's really important these days, because that's how most people are going to discover you. Also, don't pick a band name that already exists. That's hard. There are so many bloody bands these days. But do some due diligence. Google it. Is anyone else using it? To check any website coverage. Check SoundCloud. Check iTunes. Is anyone else using the name? Because you don't want to have a name clash, because it causes problems down the line. Register domains around your name. These days, most people navigate using Google or social media, but it's still important to have a www.something.com that is good and snappy. It doesn't have to be your band name, but it has to be a really good thing that sort of incorporates your band name. And then try and get all the slashes as well. Twitter / Facebook / SoundCloud / get all those sorted as soon as you can and have some consistency across your channels. Number 3, set up at least a Facebook account and a Twitter account. Even if you don't think that fulfills your creative vision, the fact is the music industry are going to look at what you're doing on Facebook and look at what you're doing on Twitter. So get that fan base engaged as soon as you can. These days, I think I would also put YouTube on that list. You need to get some content up on YouTube. It's such an important platform. Number 4. Number 4. Write an agreement between bandmates. This is important if you're a band, less so if you're an artist on your own. It's better to agree some things now than it is in 5 years' time when there's money on the table. Who owns the copyright? If you're going into a room and collaborating and creating songs, are you owning the copyright 25%, 25%? Or is the lead guy who comes in with half the song written getting half of it? Copyright law has no opinion on that. Although if you all fall out and go to court, a judge will decide on the day. It's better to get it written down in advance. It can sometimes be hard having these conversations. A year in, some assumptions have been made, you don't want to have it. Actually, this is where lawyers can be useful. The lawyer comes in and is the bad man in the room and forces these conversations to take place. But try and get things written down. And remember, if you collaborate with producers or remixers or artists or photographers who are working for free as part of your sort of creative collaboration, you do need to just have that conversation where you're really clear about, well, who is owning the copyright in this? Because it could come back to haunt you when suddenly you've got a t-shirt business and it turns out you don't own the copyright in the photos that you're putting on the t-shirts. Join PRS and PPL. I am not only saying that because PRS for Music are a supporter of this day. If you write songs, you should be in PRS. If you release recordings yourself, you should be in PPL. If you're not, well, you'll lose money, so more fool you. Number 6, gig relentlessly. We talked quite a lot about that earlier today. Gigging is one of the most important parts of launching yourself. It's how you find a fan base, it's how you hone your art. We talked earlier about networking with other artists, meeting labels. Everyone here today has talked about, how do A&R find people? They find people through their networks. Well, how the hell do you get into an A&R guy's network? Well, when you gig, you're in front of sound guys, you're in front of bar staff, you're in front of people who work in the venues, you're in front of promoters. Those are the people who, somewhere down the line, have the network to the people you're trying to influence. That said, don't gig every single night in your hometown. Okay, you can overkill. So don't be gigging all the time in the same venue because people will get bored. Look for new venues and look to go beyond your hometown. Number 7, get some recordings down. Get a few tracks on SoundCloud of decent quality. I would always say it's better to record a 4-track EP that's brilliant than a 10-track album which is more filler than killer, as they used to say. Okay, so get some really good songs that you're really pleased with. And in terms of spending money, don't spend any money on an unsigned PR specialist. It's a waste of money. It might be worth spending a little bit of money on a decent mastering engineer to just do that extra bit of shine to make your recordings as good as they possibly could be. I mean, it's not essential, but it is something that perhaps you might want to consider. Number 8, make sure your music is available everywhere. We had the guys from various, had State 51 here earlier today, didn't we, in Absolute, who help artists get their music onto platforms. There are a number of services now which any artist can use. Rarely there's much of a startup charge. They normally take a commission that can get your content into iTunes, into Amazon, into Spotify, into Deezer. Get your content everywhere. Also have it on your own site, either SoundCloud streams or use Musical.ly to sell MP3s. But even though it's on your site and your SoundCloud, a lot of people won't go there. They'll start at iTunes or Amazon or Spotify or Deezer. So get your content up there. It's not difficult to do. Number 9, set up a website and a mailing list. Social media does not replace your website. You need to have a website. Just a simple WordPress site with links through to your social and maybe a blog is fine. It doesn't have to be all singing, all dancing, but you need your own base online, because that, these days, is your business. Every artist's business exists on a website online. That is the primary port of call for doing business. And get everybody's email addresses. Email is the single most important connection you can have to your fans. I should say email addresses and permission to email. Okay, there's no point gathering random email addresses from people who've never heard of you, because it'll go into their spam folders and they'll never look at it. You want to encourage people who are excited about you to agree to receive emails. And finally, number 10, have a great story and some great photos. This is my journalist hat on here. You know, we're being PR'd new bands every single day of the week, countless new bands every single day of the week. Journalists are story people. We like a good story. What is your story? Why have you set up this band? How did you come about? Where did you come from? You're four people who met at university and you formed a band and here you are. Yeah, that's every band that ever existed. I'm not interested in that. What is it that makes you stand out? So think about what you do, your creative process, your history, and have a great story. And again, if you do have a little bit of money, I think getting a decent photographer to take some really good photos. 50% of everything that's shared, more than 50%, everything that's shared on Facebook is a picture. Photos, social is all about the visual. Have some great photography, not just one shot, lots of different photos, some close-up, some really arty, some just quite simple on a white background. Great visuals are really important for social, and indeed online media want lots of photos as well. And finally, look at this, one last tip. The music industry is a rapidly changing thing. There are lots of new opportunities out there. You need to stay up to date with what's happening in the music business. You should all sign up for the CMU Daily. We'll land in your email every day and tell you everything you need to know about the music business. And there you go. Those are my 10 tips.